2015 Chevy Traverse all-wheel drive with a 3.6 VIN D. The code I had in here came in with the check engine light, StabiliTrak, of course, light. Let me get to the right one here. But the code I had in this was P124B cylinder 4 injector high control circuit shorted to control circuit code, and then of course a P0300 for random misfire. And of course this is direct injection, so if you read here, the fuel injection system is a high pressure direct injection returnless on-demand system. Injectors are mounted on the cylinder head beneath the intake ports and spray fuel directly into the combustion chamber. Basically, the ECM supplies a separate high voltage supply circuit and a high voltage control circuit for each fuel injector. Injector high voltage supply circuit and high voltage control circuit are both controlled by the ECM. ECM energizes each fuel injector by grounding the control circuit. ECM controls each fuel injector with 65 volts. This is controlled by a boost capacitor in the ECM. During the 65 volt boost phase, the capacitor is discharged through an injector, allowing for initial injector opening. Injector is then held open with 12 volts. Fuel injector assembly is inside opening electromagnetic injector. Injector has 6 precision machined holes that generate a cone-shaped oval spray pattern. The fuel injector has a slim extended tip in order to allow sufficient cooling jacket in the cylinder head. So, of course, the first thing we did here is we went to a wiring diagram to see our colors, but you can see injector 4 is the one, of course, we have the problem on, and these are all our injectors. But if we follow these down, of course they're going to go to the ECU, right? You're going to see right here on connector X3 we have all of our controls for all of our injectors, right? Now, easiest place to go, guys, in my opinion, was right to the ECU, but you can see the twisted pairs there. So they twist these pairs for each injector. One's going to be your, that supply circuit, and one's going to be the control circuit. So my yellow trace there is pierced into the control circuit for injector 4, and the supply is the green trace. And then, of course, I took a known good, which I think I'm on. Which one am I on? Injector 5. So my known good is injector 5, and that is going to be blue trace to the control and red trace to the supply circuit. Now, when we got the scope up, this is what we got. So the blue trace there is our control circuit for injector 5. That is a known good, and you can see, and of course I cleared the codes because obviously I have no activity on injector 4. And I wanted to make sure on initial startup I could capture anything, if it was shutting the injector down, or the ECU was shutting the injector down. So this is an immediate capture. So we have 65 volts. This must be, you can see that they start out, and forgive me, I'm still learning these direct injection circuits. Blue trace there is at about, what is that, 10 volts? Let me bring this cursor back. So you can see cursor 1 for the blue, 9.3 volts, 9.2 on the red. So both sides of that injector, the control and the supply, are at about 9.2 volts starting off. And then you can see that red supply circuit go to 0 volts, right? And the other one goes to 65 volts. So that must be the charging of the injector that they were talking about. And then you can see that it pulses the control to 12 volts, and then we get another spike on our supply, and then again it pulls that control down to ground, holds it pulsed pulse to pulse to pulse, boom, we got a fire right there, and that's our injector. And then of course it cut off the top of that, whatever they call that Zener dump, I think is what Danner calls it, but cuts that off, right? So this is a known good for cylinder 5, and you can see we have no activity at all from the ECU for injector 4 on our yellow and green trace. Why? Well, we're about to find that out. Alright, before we get carried away, I wanted to show you guys injector 4. If you look, okay, cursor 1's on injector 4, right? Look at the voltage. 9.4, right? Cursor 2 is like midway in. 9.3. So the voltage is fixed at about a little under battery voltage. I assume that's normal, guys, because our other injector is the same. But we had no activity from the ECU. Now let me zoom this out. So this is zoomed out just to show you that you can see we have repetition on injector 5, but we have nothing from injector 4, just to kind of give you, and I'm sorry about that glare from the light, guys, but I'm on a 100 volt scale, 2 millisecond screen. So I just wanted to show you that. I think my next easiest step, and I could be wrong here, maybe somebody knows the answer to something else, but how am I going to get to them injectors to even inspect the harness? I mean, this is not going to happen, guys. I've already kind of done a visual of the harness, and I don't see any obvious damage. And the fact that I'm at battery, or 9.3 volts on both wires, the fact that injector 4 and 5 are matching outside of the control aspects, I think an ohms check here would actually be beneficial. So I'm going to ohm out injector 5's control and supply from the ECU here, disconnected. That should go right through the injector, right? I would assume. And then we'll do 4, and we'll kind of compare the two, and that that's at least going to give me justification to sell intake removal to do further inspection. So that's where we're headed. Ohms check injector 4 versus injector 5 circuits at the ECU. All right, pretty straightforward. I know I could do it from the harness, right here, but I'm not too worried about this. I don't see any damage to it. So I'm just going to use where I'm pierced in already. So 3 and 4 there. This is the good injector, which is injector 5, okay? 3.1 ohms, okay? 3.1, 3.2 ohms of resistance. Let's check injector 4. 1.6 ohms, guys. 1.6 ohms. 1.7. That's a considerable difference. Do we have an open in the harness? I don't know. I gotta get to the injector. I mean, there's really no other option. So, do we have a bad ECU? I doubt it. That's a considerable difference in resistance, okay? 1.6, that's half of the resistance of a known good. Gosh, I don't know what else to do. We're going to have to sell the intake removal to get down there and inspect to be 100%. I mean, I'm already thinking bad injector, okay? I'm already thinking that. Yeah, that's where I got to go. I got to sell this intake removal. The other thing to keep in mind, guys, is I don't know if the ECU monitors the resistance on each injector. I'd imagine it does. And if it sees a problem with the resistance, it shuts that down. It shuts down the ECU control as a protection measure, I'd imagine. I could be wrong there. Of course, I don't know. I'm going to do some more research, but either way, I'm selling intake removal to get down there and inspect these individual injectors. Did a rodent chew into something? I doubt it. Do we have a bad injector? Gosh, I've never seen a bad injector on a 3.6. This would be the first one, so that's why I'm filming it. So, stay tuned for that. Alright guys, I don't know why this focus is screwed up, but anyways, just an update. We're talking to the customer. It's 3 hours to do an injector. We're going to sell the 3 hours. We'll finish our inspection from there and go from there. I'll keep you along for the ride. A couple things not related, but something to keep in mind. Purge valve, they fail all the time on these 3.6s. I applied a vacuum on the intake side and we've got leakage, so that's something I'm an advisor of. Obviously it hasn't set a code yet, but it will. This purge valve is shot, so we'll advise her of that. Took the air box out. Why did I take the air box out? Because it's dirty and disgusting, and this thing needs an air filter as well. So air box is going to get cleaned, and it'll probably get a new air filter while we're in there. Throttle body will obviously get cleaned as well. This one's not too bad, but it's still going to get cleaned, so we can do a relearn on it. Not a lot of oil in there, that's good. So some other things to keep in mind when you're tearing stuff down. And the reason I'm going to advise her of this is because I don't want this check engine light coming back on for an evap problem. So if I advise her now and let her know that this is leaking and it's probably going to set an evap code, I save myself a comeback and potentially a customer that doesn't understand or is upset because the check engine light's back on. So keep that in mind. Alright, before I tear this intake off, we're pretty much ready to go. I got the easy intake in, I covered my port. We're going to blow all this dust and all this crap off of here before we start tearing this engine down, and that'll prevent anything getting down where we don't want it. So, well guys, it's the moment of truth. She's off. And look what we got here. Got a little mouse nest down there, so we're going to clean this out. I'll show you what I find. Just to give you an idea, and a lot of you know this, of how dirty valves get on GDIs. Look at that. Look at that crap. Look at how nasty they get from not having injection behind them. Because your injectors live down here, right in the cylinder head, so these valves never get sprayed with gasoline. Look at that. You know, induction service, regular induction services is what you gotta do on these. Unbelievable. So, yeah, I'm gonna clean this rat's nest out, see if I can see any damage to the harness down there. Oh, we got the good old Matco air vacuum out, and we're sucking out all the goodness, and let me tell you, oh, it smells nice. Nothing like the smell of rodents. Look what we got here. What in the world we got there? Is that open copper I see? Oh yeah. Them little fellers, they love injectors. I don't know what it is, but them little rodents, they just love to eat injector harnesses. I don't know why it's always the injectors, but it always is for some reason. A lot of you guys can attest to that, but there you go, guys. We're done. This rail needs to come out, and we need to get this harness out. I'd imagine they sell a sub-harness for this, but like I said, I've never seen an injector go bad on a 3.6. Now, some of you might have, but I've seen a lot of 3.6s with a lot of miles, and I've never seen an injector go bad. I've seen them get dirty from all that crap and not spray right, but I've never seen one fail. So my suspicions are right. I figured it was going to be rodent damage down in there, so, you know, obviously we got damage to more than one injector harness, you know, pigtail here, so let me keep tearing and we'll kind of go from there. This customer is actually waiting, so I'm hoping that we can get the parts that we need to get them back on the road today. So yeah, let me keep tearing. And just so you guys are aware, this harness here, you know, obviously there's our fuel rail pressure sensor, but this harness comes up and out right here, and it goes to that connector. So if you had to or you wanted to, you could test there too for the injector circuits. But I'd imagine they're going to sell this from here down. I hope they do. I hope Delco's got something like that, so we'll find out. Like I said, obviously I'm gonna have to take this out to get the harness out of there. So fun. And I know it's common sense, but plug your ports before you start tearing, because all you need, you know, my luck, and you know, I'll end up dropping something down in there or whatever. We don't need anything going down in the cylinders. All right. Well, guys, I hate to cut it short, but I'm not getting the harnesses for them injectors down. I guess there's 2 different harnesses for them. We're not getting those parts today. I would love to keep going with this video, but you know, it is what it is. Unfortunately, it's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to get the parts today to fix it. So, hope you liked it. I know I haven't made a video in a long time. We'll get this thing fixed up when we get the parts and be good to go. But at least we got a good capture on one of them injectors. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I hope everyone learned something from it. I know I did. And let me know what you think down in the comments below. And thanks for watching, guys. Take care.